Well, NLP, some of NLP derives from hypnotherapy. Hypnotherapy predominantly works with the subconscious mind. So we've got two parts of the mind. If you think of an iceberg, we take an iceberg and we think that 10% of the iceberg we can visibly see, and underneath the iceberg you've probably got 90%. That's pretty much how the mind is. 10% of our thought process is at a conscious level, and 90% is at a subconscious level. Now, an example is when you get in the car and you drive to work, you don't consciously think about putting it into first gear, second gear, or which traffic lights you stopped at. Sometimes you can't even remember the journey. So people listening probably wouldn't be consciously aware of their feet against the floor, or their back against the chair, or they're wearing glasses, the glasses pressed against their ears. We're not aware of that because consciously we can only focus on so many things. It's said that the mind is hit by about 4 million pieces of information at any one given period of time, and then more than 4 million pieces of information are generated from the millions of memories that we have from the minute we're born to the age we are now, and everything that's going on around us. But if we were to process all them thoughts at any second, we'd go into overload. So we decide consciously, and we break things down to a certain level in terms of what we focus on. So at a conscious level, we can only focus on a limited amount of information, but what is going on subconsciously is far greater. Now the subconscious mind, one way to look at the subconscious mind is if you think that our heart beats automatically, we wake up in the morning automatically, we go to sleep when we're tired, our hair grows, our fingernails grow, so all these things happen physiologically without us telling ourselves to do it, we just do it automatically. And that's pretty much what happens with our habits. We pretty much are conditioned subconsciously in terms of what we do. And in the same way we don't tell our heart to beat or when to breathe, pretty much subconsciously is how our habits are formed. So when people overeat, when people smoke, it tends to be to fulfill an emotional need. And they automatically do it without even realizing they're doing what they do, but they do it. And the key is, and hypnotherapy is very important, we can help people reprogram the thought process at the subconscious level so they can overcome things that have been going on in their lives for a long time. Because a lot of the time, people live out of what we call, out of gestalt memories, things that have happened very early on in their life. So there's every chance the reason why people do what they do is based on what happened many, many years before. And we can easily overcome that by reprogramming the thought process. So if someone really wants to change, they can change aspects of their lives. And hypnotherapy is very powerful because we can help people at a subconscious level change their thought process, and in changing their thought process, overcome any limiting beliefs and break any unwanted habits. Used together, it's a very powerful tool because you can also consciously sit down and work with people on a conscious level as well. And you can sit down with someone and set some goals, set some targets, talk about the positive and negatives in terms of doing what they do. So even at conscious level, we can make certain decisions that can really influence our lives. So used together can be very, very powerful. There are a number of techniques we can use, a number of techniques that we can use for different reasons for different people, and I think that used together can be a very powerful mixture of techniques and strategies to really help people move forward their life. Yeah, very much so, definitely. And I work with a number of people with a number of different issues and problems and fears and phobias, and a lot of the time some of these fears, phobias, negative beliefs and habits have been formed very early on in their life. And when I do techniques like timeline and I take them back and regression to a point in their life where they first experienced that negative emotion, they sometimes go as far back as 4 and 5 years of age. So they're not consciously aware of what happened. However, when you get them to subconsciously go back in time, they realize sometimes certain things and certain emotions were formed very early on in life, and they've kept that emotion, they've kept that thought and feeling, and regardless of what age they they carry on living out of that mental age, that time when they were 5, 6, 7 years of age. And there's no need for them to do that. They can move forward. If they consciously decide they want to move forward, we can help them go back in time, even to a point where they didn't have any experience of a specific event, they didn't have that emotion. With the knowledge they have now, and I think that we have more sound judgment to make a decision. When we get older, we get wiser. We don't do it as much as we should do. Going forward in life, we still make decisions based on what happened very early on in our life, and that can be very limiting for a lot of people. It is possible, and we can definitely take them back in time subconsciously, where when we're born without any fears and thoughts about anything really. It's just through time what we pick up, what we model. So if we're told certain things about certain situations, then we're going to have a feeling towards that. Say, for example, if you're 5, 6 years of age and someone tells you you're unattractive, then you may hold that for a long time, and every time you have a chance to have a relationship, you might think, well, I'm unattractive, I don't deserve to have this relationship. Or you might be told that you're not good at doing something, and you might think for the rest of your life that you hold that feeling, you hold that emotion. And prior to someone saying that to you, you didn't have any thoughts and feelings about that situation. There wasn't anything there was no reason for you to feel that way until someone said something or you experienced something. And then it's possible to live one's life in that area based on what happened. And we can go back before the event, back before that significant situation that developed our thought process in that area, and change it, or even see it the way we would see it now. And that can be done subconsciously. It's a very, very powerful thing that we can do. I work with people with fears and phobias, for example, and some people are afraid of flying. Now, I worked with a client a few weeks ago who was afraid of flying. They didn't know why they were afraid of flying. There was no reason for them to be afraid of flying. As it happens, we went back in time, and what it was, when they were around about 4 or 5 years of age, they were watching a television. And in watching the TV, they actually watched a documentary or film about a plane crashing. And it wasn't until we did timeline they realised that that's where the first feelings came in terms of being afraid of flying. And they'd held on to that for a very, very long time in their life. And we were able to go back in time when they first had this fear about flying. And before they saw that, there was no feelings associated with flying. And they've got a better wisdom, a better judgment where they are now in terms of their age and their experience to make that decision. And we were able to go back and subconsciously and learn as to why they would be afraid. Also reassure them that it was time to move forward. They can move forward. It's time to let go. So that can happen across a broad range of different areas for different people in different situations. So fears, phobias, limiting beliefs, a lot of them can be picked up along the way. Yeah, subconsciously. Yeah, because the subconscious mind processes things that we're not aware of, and sometimes we're not aware. And it's like, for example, you may not consciously be thinking about something, but 2 weeks down the line, a month down the line, you have a thought that comes to your mind, and it's not until it came into your awareness. An example might be, I might mention a type of car. Now, it's not until I mention that car that you go out and you see